How does the recently terminated county lobbyist connect with the Pascal Crisis Stabilization Center? Let's find out. Back in November 2023, the county commissioners decided to hire Bruce Bariano, a lobbyist, to work on their behalf. For $15,000 a year, Bruce Bariano would act as a full service government relations consultant and lobbyist to the General Assembly, the executive branch, and any state level agency. Back in the 1990s, Bruce Bariano lost his ability to practice law in Maryland, D.C., and in the federal courts as a result of some shady dealings that involved his family and employees and political contributions. It's apparent from discussion during the Commissioner's November 2023 meeting that hiring Bariano was Commissioner Colvin's initiative. Colvin worked behind the scenes with Deputy County Attorney John Hauser, who engaged in discussions with Bariano to develop a plan to present to the Commissioners. Hauser knew Bariano because both of them were involved with St. Clement's 100, a local nonprofit organization responsible for the upkeep of Blackstone Lighthouse in St. Clement's Island. Hauser told the commissioners during the November 2023 meeting that delegates Matt Morgan and Brian Crosby were not in favor of hiring Bariano, but that delegate Todd Morgan and Senator Jack Bailey were in favor. He even mentioned that Senator Bailey and Bariano had a good working relationship. Bailey's relationship with Bariano had already produced results earlier in 2023 in the form of $700,000 in bond money for the St. Clement's 100 handicap vessel. Bariano has a good relationship with Senator Guy Gazzone, a Democrat from Howard County who chairs the Senate Budget and Taxation Committee, which Senator Bailey also serves on. In April 2024, Bruce Bariano met with the commissioners to brief them on his efforts from the 2024 legislative session. Part of that update was Bariano informing the commissioners about the $500,000 he secured for the Pascal Crisis Center location in St. Mary's County.
I worked very closely with Senator Bailey for the Pascal Crisis Stabilization Center. I do represent that center in Anne Arundel County. They're in Crownsville.
Then he goes on to describe how we, assuming that means he and the Pascal Crisis Center, met with Commissioner Colvin.
With Commissioner Colvin, we're already reaching out to MedStar. We're reaching out to your college down here.
Next, you'll hear Bariano's speculation that additional funding may be available after speaking to Senator Gazzone.
And I do believe there'll be additional monies that'll be forthcoming. And speaking with Senator Bailey and speaking with Senator Gazzone and Chairman Zucker, who are very familiar with Pascal through me in my efforts.
Fast forward a year later to April 2025. That's when residents along Mount Wolf Road found out at the last minute that Pascal Crisis Center wanted to build their facility in a residential area. But after significant pushback from residents in the area, the plans for the Crisis Service Center were withdrawn by Pascal. When residents showed up and filled the room at the County Commissioners' Public Forum in May, Commissioner President Randy Guy told them that they needed to direct their attention to Senator Jack Bailey because the commissioners knew nothing about this. But that wasn't exactly the case a year ago in April 2024.
Dealing with mental illness.
Yeah,
right?
Mental illness.
We'll make sure people know that. I talked to Senator Bailey yesterday about that. It's a great thing that
Commissioner Colvin also took the chance during the April 2024 meeting to highlight what a win this was for the county.
This is a huge deal for St. Mary's County. Now, my understanding was originally this could have ended up in Calvert County, and we are fortunate.
I wanted it in St. Mary's County.
We are fortunate to be able to get it in St. Mary's County. Now, in talking with Miss Catherine
Bonacontry,
they will save money for our hospital, for our sheriff's office, with the corrections facility. Just the partnerships that they are going to bring to the table are huge, and this is a very big win for St. Mary's County.
certainly is.
Bariano worked for the county in the 2024 and 2025 legislative sessions before being terminated by the county commissioners this May. Now, why did Bruce Bariano get let go by the county commissioners? Well, it turns out he had a conflict of interest with Pascal Crisis Service Center. Bariano failed to mention that he serves as the chairman of the board of directors for the Pascal Youth and Family Services, Inc. nonprofit. And he served in that role since at least 2022. I did some research online and found this IRS Form 990 from last year's tax filing for the Pascal Youth and Family Services nonprofit, which lists Catherine Bonacontri as the principal officer. It also lists Bruce Bariano as the chairman of the board of directors. Additionally, it lists Semper Fidelis Solutions LLC as the chief operating officer. Semper Fidelis Solutions is owned by Catherine Bonacontri's husband, Philip. I did a little more research online, specifically into campaign finance, to see if there were any connections between Bruce Bariano and any of our local elected representatives. I found that Bruce Bariano donated to former Senator Steve Waugh and former Delegate Deb Ray in 2018. Bariano has also donated to Delegate Crosby and State's Attorney Jamie Sterling in the past. In August 2024, Bariano donated through his lobbying office to Senator Bailey's campaign. Catherine and Philip Bonacontri also made donations to Senator Bailey's campaign in late 2024, and Bruce Bariano made another donation in early 2025, this time personally. Lobbyists in Maryland are required by law to file reports about who is employing them and what they're being paid. I found reports online at lobbyethics.maryland.gov that show that Bruce Bariano was employed as a lobbyist by St. Mary's County government and by the Pascal Crisis Center at the same time in 2024. During Commissioner time on May 20th, Commissioner Hewitt made reference to the conflict of interest situation without providing details as the reason for why Bariano was let go. Commissioner Colvin, who was the only one to vote against Bariano's termination, had this to say.
A disappointing move. I think it was a short-sighted move, and I don't think it was fair to our lobbyist that we didn't even give him a chance to defend himself. But he did a lot of good for us, and so it's a shame to see Mr. Bariano go.
The county commissioners paid Bruce Bariano $30,000 across 2 years to lobby for St. Mary's County. At the same time, the disbarred former attorney was lobbying for Pascal Services, for whom he acted as the chair of the board. When deciding whether or not to hire Bariano in 2023, the commissioners discussed the fact that he had a history and had been disbarred. Despite the details, Commissioners Guy, Colvin, and Ostro all voted in favor of hiring Bariano. It's pretty common to hear that lobbying is just a part of doing business in politics these days, but that doesn't mean that it's the right thing to do. We elect representatives to act on our behalf, to lobby on our behalf, and to represent us in the state and local governments. We need to be involved, hold them accountable, and let them know what our expectations are. Otherwise, it's business as usual.